r/AskReddit, what's something inherently toxic that is perceived as normal? Asking a prospective employee to create a full-on project or develop content specific to the position applied for. You might not get the job, but the company has your intellectual property, and plenty are not above using it as their own. Overworking. Going to work/school even if you're super sick or in pain, not having days off, being expected to have perfect attendance in school or at work, etc. etc. I'm surprised nobody else has said sleep deprivation yet. Sleep deprivation literally causes brain damage to the part of the brain responsible for happiness and memory. There is a reason military regulation requires soldiers be provided 8 hours of sleep, because sleep deprivation is a form of torture. Not saying what you mean. Edit. Thanks for the awards. The amount of sugar in everything. In my industry, manufacturing, mandatory overtime, pre-COVID, it was totally normal for people to have to work 50+ hours a week, sometimes 7 days a week for months at a time. The whole point of time and a half was to discourage companies from making people work more than 40 hours regularly, and yet, for most of 2018 and 2019, people like my father-in-law had to use PTO to be off on a Saturday or Sunday. Parents screaming at children during Little League games. Making fun of or denigrating one's spouse in social situations. It's a shitty thing to do. I feel like a lot of never turn your back on family rhetoric is used by abusive people that think they shouldn't face consequences for their bullshit. Blind loyalty. Loyalty is seen as such a positive trait, and people who are not loyal are seen as snakes, rats, etc. While I understand the importance of loyalty to an extent, e.g., we shouldn't be cheating on our partners or breaking promises, I don't understand why people are applauded for being blindly loyal to people who have done something wrong or go against your values, etc. If I'm blindly loyal to my workplace, and find out they're engaging in shady practices, I'm applauded for keeping my mouth shut. If I'm blindly loyal to my family, and find out they're a bunch of abusers, I'm a monster and ingrate for leaving them behind. If I'm blindly loyal to a politician, and then find out they have some dark side I don't agree with, I'm expected to back them up and justify it. If I'm blindly loyal to a friend and find out they raped someone, I'm still expected to stand by them because they're my friend. If I'm blindly loyal to an idea, not even another human, but some value or belief, and then that idea is challenged, I should be able to learn from that and grow, rather than stick to something that could be incorrect or problematic. I don't understand why blind loyalty is so applauded. We should be open to learning and changing, and we should be encouraged to understand consequences and think about our actions, rather than believing that we should be backed up, and should back up our team no matter what. I see this a lot in Suits. Everyone is so loyal to each other even when they fuck up big time, and then if someone does objectively the right thing, but it hurts one of the others, they're shunned. Toxic hustle culture. The idea that every moment you're awake, you need to be constantly achieving your goals and getting further in life. Please don't get me wrong, the idea that creating a side hustle, passion project, or business on your own is fantastic and should never been discouraged. What I'm referring to is this attitude that any time not spent furthering your goals is a complete waste. Reading a book, better make sure it's about an applicable skill for the future. Got 2 hours to spare, by the stars you better make sure to use them learning coding or a new language. It makes me cross because it's a fundamentally dangerous attitude that is advertised to younger folk, especially to those just entering their first jobs out of school or university. Burnout is a real issue that can cause exhaustion and isn't healthy. What really gets my goat is how it's an attitude permeated by companies. It's the whole "there's always someone hungrier than you, better do more to prove yourself," to quote Bill Watterson, as if a job title and salary are the sole measure of someone's worth. It's an easy attitude to push. You keep the new workforce with a mind to work harder than each other to get more, which only discourages them from banding together for fundamental rights like healthcare or PTO. So if you took the time to read this, read a book you want, play a game or watch a series that you fancy. Not every moment has to be preparing for a never-ending future. I don't know about other places, but in the US, internships that delegate actual business responsibilities to interns but don't pay them. If your intern calling in sick would disrupt your workflow, they're not an intern, they're an employee and they deserve a wage. Loot boxes and all forms of in-app, Game purchases that are just dressed up gambling. Introducing minors to gambling with real money for the chance of unlocking that awesome character is pretty sick. Let's trigger gambling addiction in minors because our game is free and it's the only way we can make money. Not having boundaries with family, particularly between parents and their adult children. I can't believe how frequently, but their family, is used to rationalize and justify disrespect, manipulation, and various forms of abuse. Hating your partner/spouse, it's the dynamic of like 90% of on-screen relationships, that the couple have nothing in common and don't share interests and never do anything together without fighting constantly, but they love each other, so all the toxic, manipulative behavior gets played off for laughs or proof of how strong they are. Your partner should be your best friend. You should want to spend time with them. You should enjoy being around them. You should look forward to seeing them when you're apart. Toxic positivity/optimism. Let people grieve. Don't invalidate someone's feelings and sadness. Wine mom culture. It's not cute. It's not quirky. Mama needs a drink isn't a personality trait. People who have perfected the art of backhanded compliments. The inherent pressure to make your job into your life. I come from a Southeast Asian country where this is extremely normal, especially in the more traditional toxic workplaces. Had a manager go on a rant about how us juniors were young and could afford to work hard. He then proceeded to compare us to other seniors who used to work until 12 a.m. every day to learn the ins and outs of the business, saying that we should be like them, and bragged about how he only used to sleep 4 hours a day back when he was starting out. My direct manager herself made me work at home despite being on sick leave and recovering from a nasty bout of fever. Just asked how I was feeling before diving straight into, can you work from home now since you're not feeling too bad? Intellectual dishonesty just so you can hate another group. Casual peer pressure. I already said no twice to your offer of a drink. Shut up. Ironically, my mom was deathly afraid of it when I was a teenager. Some dealer would assuredly convince me to try bad drugs, but now she's the worst offender. Don't speak ill of the dead. Literally, why? If someone was a bad person, then dying doesn't wipe off their sins. This is just me, but my mom is manipulative. It's very subtle, but also very effective. She could easily be the nicest person on the planet, but instead chooses to use her incredible skill to get her way and be petty. I didn't notice it until recently, and I've lived with her my entire life. Up until last year I didn't know why I couldn't stand to be around her. Edit. I'm moving out soon and she's pulling out all the stops trying to coerce me to stay. Hell to the no. Forgiving your family because they are your family. Not sure if someone's already said this, but pressuring kids to hug/kiss adults, e.g., family friends, just because you, the parent, trust this person doesn't mean the child automatically has to. Let the child find their own boundaries and don't teach them that they have to compromise their consent for the sake of politeness. Systemic workplace bullying in low-wage jobs masqueraded as productivity and reaching targets, etc. People attempting to tell you what you think, how you feel, or why you do what you do as if they can read your mind, then get angry with you and tell you you need help and interrupt you while ignoring anything and everything you have to say about the matter. Making fathers seem as though they're somehow lesser parents than mothers. Working so much that you don't have time for hobbies anymore. That's nothing to be proud of. Women being abusive to men in public. I saw this video a while back, and goddamn if I can't unsee this happening in the public all the time. Sure, maybe not the over-the-top borderline violence, but loudly insulting their spouses, yelling and shouting at them, pushing them, etc., is relatively common, at least in where I live, but I never see it happen in reverse. Once I started noticing it, I even realized my grandparents had this super toxic relationship, where grandma would fire off the constant jabs and demeaning comments and we would write it off as just grandma being a grandma. Calling dads babysitters. Couples cheating in shows and movies, they paint it like it's gossip. This one, you could be blind, lame, mentally impaired, starving, homeless, incurably ill, choose the defect of the day, followed by this. You are so lucky, be grateful, completely minimizes your feelings and trivializes your problem. Yeah, buddy, that's bad, but you know there are kids without legs. Okay, you are correct, and I still have problem XYZ which is important to or detracting from my well-being. Manipulating your partner or date into changing their personality. Lying to children about the nature of reality. Alcohol. Prioritizing punishment over rehabilitation or reconciliation. And I know everyone's first thought when reading that is about prison systems, where obviously it is valid, but this is seen in every aspect of life. The way parents treat misbehaving children, the way poor performing students are treated in school, the way bad employees are treated in workplaces, the fact that the default response to relationship posts on Reddit with any hint of conflict is dump his/her ass. This mindset is pervasive despite the fact that punishment is shown over and over again to be extraordinarily ineffective compared to alternatives. The "my wife always nags me" and the "my husband can't do anything right so I have to nag him" trope. If you didn't like the way someone lived their daily life, why'd you marry them? The expectations women set for their weddings. So many women need to have a better wedding than the next bride. The bachelorette parties last 3 days and you have to fly across the country half the time, just to marry the love of your life. So toxic. Air pollution. Every day billions of people breathe in potentially dangerous substances emitted by cars, factories, etc., and we are just used to it. We should have the right for our air to not be toxic. Toxic positivity and self-help speakers. My job during COVID had a virtual event over the course of 3 weeks, telling us how to always take on personal responsibility against opposition, always have a bright attitude in light of setbacks, etc. I mean, it is just such obvious horseshit. I really feel events like this are just designed to get the naive to do more work while making the rest of us feel crazy. Because if you speak up and criticize the idiocy of it all, you're just not looking on the bright side. We really need to end this toxic culture. It's all designed to just deflect criticism and holding people accountable to broader issues. Not taking people in relationships seriously unless they're married. Complaining about your significant other. High conflict divorce. When some people find out I'm divorced and do 50/50 custody with my ex for our son, I get a lot of, "Oh, that sucks. I couldn't do that. How could you allow that to happen?" Or my personal favorite, "Don't you feel like less of a mother because you don't have your kid all the time? Ugh. First of all, %you. Second of all, why is it weird that my ex-husband and I put our child's mental well-being over our feelings? Lastly and most importantly, my ex is an awesome father and we get along great despite not working out as a couple. Why would I feel like less of a mother because I recognize that he and I are equal parents to our son? Just because we got divorced doesn't mean our son loves either of us less. I understand that in some cases a messy custody battle is unavoidable, but that should be the exception, not the rule. Social media influencers. There are a lot of people who seem to feel the need to turn every subject, every event, into an opportunity to make it about themselves and their political views. Shit, if it rains on your wedding day, it isn't ironic, it's because of those from the other party doing it purpose. The Clean Plate Club. Treating kids like they're stupid when they're just learning about the world. TM06. An older person asking a younger person when they're having kids. Calling an emotional child dramatic. It invalidates their feelings and they won't be able to trust or believe in themselves as an adult because whenever they have strong feelings they will think they're being too much or dramatic. Sitting in a box for 8 hours a day making $500 a week. Teachers being underpaid, overworked, and responsible for teaching them how to be good people. Gender reveal parties. Work colleagues being family. Also any relationship where boundaries aren't respected. You shouldn't be your partner's therapist. You shouldn't be your friend's unlimited emotional crutch. We are at a point in our world where everyone is drained and needs help in some capacity. I think people like to promote boundary-less relationships so they can feel the love is infinite, but it really does more harm than good. Hitting your children. Gossip. But he's your brother, you have to love him. Fuck no I don't, he almost killed me. War and physical oppression. WTF are we doing? The viciousness and cruelty, the waste of life, the waste of resources, the pollution, just fucking stop already. 2 words, man up. Being a woman and being expected to have children. Waking up early for kids and young adults. They are long sleepers because of their genes. Let them sleep as long as they need. As soon as they turn 30, they will wake up earlier again. You signed up for this. It's an idea pushed in healthcare, verbal abuse by patients, exposure to pathogens with inadequate PPE, constant enforced overtime, being denigrated by physicians, management, patients' families. You signed up for this, it's part of being a nurse. I took a job, I didn't join a penitent religious order. Ridiculing your children. Bachelor/bachelorette parties that encourage cheating on/lying to your future spouse. Working 5 days a week and being off too. Working 80 hours a week, rise and grind like you deserve a medal. You better be running your own business for that kind of flesh exchange, otherwise, spend less and get some fucking rest. Our media. Toxic forgiveness. I get forgiving is for the person wronged, it's bad to hold on to hate, blah, 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 but a lot of people don't seem to understand that pain/hatred needs to be processed before forgiveness is possible, and that shit takes time. And people who try to pressure others into forgiveness look as stupid as someone yelling at a stabbed person to hurry up and stop bleeding, like they have so much control over the blood leaving the gaping hole in their body. Constantly hustling, not having hobbies unless they're profitable, the lack of respect for the arts. Getting shit-faced drunk. Posting absolutely every moment on social media. Just bought a couch posted, ate sushi posted, just filmed a homeless man posted, who the fuck cares, and writing some huge paragraph on social media for Mother's/Father's Day, which they probably don't even use, because that day is about you and your likes and comments. Here's a tip: don't be selfish and self-centered, and maybe call them. Some of this is U.S. specific, but the 40-hour work week, lack of sufficient maternal/parental leave, no guarantee of sick days, and lack of a decent amount of paid holiday. This American mentality of working your ass off is so prevalent and toxic. Raising wages isn't enough immo. People shouldn't have to work so damn much just to survive. Forcing your children to finish the food off their plate. It may seem annoying that they don't want to finish a meal you made, but that's a hell of a lot better than them developing an eating disorder. Relying strongly on first impressions. I just want to give a shout out to the Apu/Tizer Kane for coming up with a topic that is so enlightening. Reading through the answers here has me saying yes, this too. Thanks for all the thought-provoking answers, as well. This sounds really cliché, but I do mean it. May we all do our part to create a better world as we consider the important issues that have been brought up here. Cheers. It not being manly to have emotions. Party politics, especially two-party systems, systemic tribalization and polarization of the population, give people a team to root for, and you're also giving them a team to root against, which, as we see every day, easily leads to distrust and hatred. Money, the devaluing and gatekeeping of education, often based on money. The "we suffered, so you have to suffer too" mentality that previous generations often espouse, like it's a badge of honor to have faced problems but done absolutely nothing to make the situation better for the future, and the tendency to call younger people entitled when they say they want to try and solve/prevent/avoid the suffering or problems through action because it costs, you guessed it, money. Dudes calling other dudes bitches for expressing their emotions. You've made it through the whole video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing for more videos every day. I upload 2 videos every single day.